hanging. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm so it's funny because you say everywhere that you're a new artist or whatever, but you are not brand new. I mean, you've been around writing and stuff for a long time.
Mhm.
So explain that side of it before we get into now you're stepping in the spotlight. Like, what was writing like for you, and who did you write for?
Well, I've been writing music since I was like around 8 years old. And then I went to the Berklee College of Music and ended up dropping out and moving to LA. And I definitely knew that I wanted to like put out my own project, but at the time I was just so fresh and just didn't really know what I wanted to say or how to say it yet. And there's such a power in music, and I didn't kind of want to just throw something against the wall to see if it would stick. So the last couple of years, I've really just focused on honing in on my craft and really finding my sound. And now I'm at a place where I'm so unbelievably ready to put out this music into the world. I feel like during quarantine, because the stars have just sort of aligned with everything in terms of me really coming into my own musically and finding like the best team to be behind me. And now it's just like balls to the wall, guns blazing, we're going.
That's a good way of putting it, though. That just saying that it wasn't that you were always trying to be behind the scenes. It was just whenever you were ready.
Yeah, yeah, I just wanted to take my time and then I just knew.
Yeah. So this would you have said a year ago before quarantine, would you have been ready? Or do you think really this past year just did a lot for you?
I this past year has definitely done a lot for me, but it was last year. There have been a lot of moments of realization for me, but I actually thought about this one the other day. Last year, I was on tour with Elenium. I've written a lot of songs for him and featured on some of them. And still at that point, I wasn't 100% sure, like, was I ready? But I was at a show that I was playing at later that night, but I saw Chelsea Cutler up on stage and just saw how much fun she was having and just how much she owned it. And I just was staring at her. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And I went back to my trailer and I just started plotting. And since then everything's really kind of come together once I was like, okay, I know what I need to do. Find the right management, find the right label, like just start planning the EP, finish out these songs, all the, everything that goes into putting a project together has kind of come together in the last year since I saw that performance.
That's awesome. She is great too, and very fun to watch. So I totally, if I
Yeah.
could sing, I could understand having that moment. And so the first message that you want to come out with is fuck being sober.
Yep.
So I actually very much support this message.
It's definitely abrasive, but that's what I kind of like about it. I mean, you look at the title and it almost makes you a little mad, and then you listen to the song and I think that you get what the real message is about, which is like, marching to the beat of your own drum and living your life to the fullest and just saying screw it to like the status quo. Which is basically how I live my life, and definitely like all of that is just a motto for how I like to live and what I really want to use my platform to say. So fuck being sober just felt like the perfect first single.
I mean, it is great. And honestly, the whole time I'm watching it or listening, both, I'm like, wow, this is the epitome of how I felt when I was mid 20s, when my first friends were getting married. And I'm over here like, bitch, I'm still trying to pretend like I'm in college. Relax.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
want to be like that forever, you know? And the video too, I was the first time I watched it through, I was just like, oh, this is relatable. And then I went through again and I started taking notes of just all the different scenes that you have in there. Did you sit down and brainstorm like what's all the dumb stuff I've done while drunk? And I'm just gonna put all of that in the video? Because I mean, you have the liquor in the shampoo bottle, I think, but then you're also running around on carts. I mean, this is all stuff that if people haven't done, they're not living.
No, I've definitely done some of that stuff. I can't say that I've, drank out of a shampoo bottle before that video. But yeah, riding around in shopping carts was definitely like a hobby of mine in high school when you just kind of have nothing else to do in your hometown when everything closes at 8:30. So there's definitely some real life inspiration in that video.
Yeah, in the fire, it's people. Everyone's got to play with fire when they're drunk one time, and
Obviously.
it ends up okay.
Uh-huh.
So I also watched the unofficial official video too, and
Nice.
just you and your friends. It seems like you guys all still have really close relationship. And do they get to, when you were on tour with Millennium and whatever, how much are they helping you with your career as well as just being there as friends?
I mean, Kelsey and Amy are just like my ultimate support system. Amy flew out to see me at Madison Square Garden, which was like the best gift ever to be able to share her like that moment with her. But yeah, I mean, neither of them are in music. We all grew up in the same hometown together, and they're off doing incredible things in their lives now too. And yeah, they're two of the most inspiring women I know. And through thick and thin, no matter what we're going through, whether it's like the crazy highs or the really low lows, we always have each other. And yeah, we always have bucket lists together as well. So the video felt kind of perfect to kind of tie that in about living your life to the fullest. It was like, okay, we got to make a bucket list video, because that's kind of how I apply fuck being sober to my real life, is thinking about, pushing myself to the edge of my comfort zone, which is just everything. Every experience I have with Kelsey and Amy is just us doing whack shit. So made sense.
I got goosebumps when you said that they're just like out living their life, but you guys are always together. I hope that everyone has those kind of friends in their life. I've been kind of yelling at my friends because they're there for me no matter what. But instead of like hyping each other up every morning, now we just try to outdo each other and who has the worst hangover. And I just feel like that's not the way to live life. So
every friendship is unique,
yeah. Yeah, that's one way to put it. What else is on your bucket list though? What have you guys held each other accountable for?
Oh wow, there's so many things. I mean, our bucket list in high school was like 100 things to do before we graduated.
Wow.
So there's a lot of stuff on there. I mean, it was all over the place in terms of the range of like the topics. Some of it was like stupid stuff, like go around with a Windex bottle that we filled with blue Gatorade and sprayed in your mouth and see people's reactions. Or it was like, there was this girl in our class who was struggling with body image, and in the middle of the night, we made this giant like poster banner sign with like poster paper and like that puffy paint. And we wrote her name, and then we said, "You're beautiful." And we like hung it outside her house for her to see in the morning. So it was like, and then it was also stuff like scuba dive or like learn how to surf, just things that you normally wouldn't think to do in life that you're like, oh, that sounds fun or that sounds cool, but you never really force yourself to do them unless you plan for it and you write it down and you force yourself.
Okay, you are a good person leaving signs out for people to just make them feel better when they wake up. That's amazing. Not a lot of people are going to think about something like that. That's really cool.
Oh, thank you.
So what is something, so you said you've been writing since you were 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
Normally I would ask somebody what their first song was, but I actually just want to know the first, like how young were you when you made the song that you're still proud of to this day? That you would still be okay with singing at least portions of it for a show?
That is a really interesting question.
I know, I feel like I needed to like send it to you ahead of time to think about it.
Because, oh man, it probably would be a song I wrote in middle school. There's this one I wrote about my middle school crush called Arms that I wrote on the ukulele that my mom is still obsessed with today. Like I've written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs and I send them to my mom. She's like, I still really like Arms. And I'm like, I wrote that under the trampoline when I was 12 years old. And it's like 2 chords on the ukulele, but yeah, maybe that one.
There's got to be ways to, even if it's like a little middle school, there's got to be ways to probably rework it a little bit. And
that actually would be really cute. I've never thought about that, but that could make my mom really happy. Like it's like the encore song at the show. This is something I wrote when I was in 7th grade.
Yeah, your mom can come up and just start crying because she's so proud. I mean, it'll be great. Yeah. Have you had the moment yet where you've heard your song on the radio just while you're around?
No, I can't wait for that moment. I keep getting tagged by these stations on Instagram, or if people message me being like, "Oh my God, I'm hearing your song on the radio." But I have notoriously bad luck when it comes to this stuff. I mean, I've had other songs that have like, at least just been playing in restaurants or gas stations, like all over. And I get videos from my friends and from my parents all the time. And I am never, ever the one who's ever just like sitting in the restaurant when the song comes on. So I swear I'm going to be the last person on the face of the planet to hear my own song on the radio, but I know it's going to happen.
I mean, it sucks right now because obviously this song is so good to have on at a bar or whatever, and they're not open right now. But give it a couple months. I mean, give the song and the bars a couple months and it could happen there too.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna be sitting in my car every day with the radio on waiting for it to happen. I kind of want to just be like surprised by it, you know?
I think that's better too. I agree. It's like instead of knowing it's about to come, it's like when you jump in an Uber or something and it's on, it's like crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be the coolest moment ever.
I love it. What was it like when you found out someone was cutting your song? I mean, I know you had Jonas Brothers and BTS and Millennium and all these other people. So the first time you hear one of these big names is cutting it, what was that like?
It was crazy. So the first cut I had was actually Crawl Out of Love with Millennium. And it was, I think, my second session that I ever did, my second writing session. We wrote that song. And I was such a newbie. I just dropped out of college like the week before. And I was in LA and was just like, what am I doing? What's happening with me? It's like my dreams are coming true. And we wrote this song actually for Demi Lovato with her in mind. And it got pitched to her and it didn't fit with her project at the time. And then somehow it ended up in Millennium's hands. And he was immediately like, oh, I need to cut this song. And it was so quickly. I mean, sometimes, as other writers know, sometimes this process can take years. Songs will sit around, they'll get forgotten. An A&R or manager will find it, send it around again. But Nick just like picked it up immediately. And he was like, hey, can I keep your demo vocal on it? Whatever. I'll throw you a couple $100 or something. And I was like, hell yeah, like a couple $100, absolutely. But I wasn't really thinking about, my friendship that would bloom with him and all the music we'd make together and everything it would lead to. I was just like, hell yeah. So I kept my voice on that song, and I'm so grateful that I even just sang the demo that day, because it's kind of changed everything. But yeah, it was crazy. I remember sitting in my car and getting the text that the song was getting cut and just like bursting into tears. I was like, okay, it's happening.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now you've already checked off the part. I don't know if it was actually on your bucket list, but I would assume everyone wants to cut a Christmas song at some point, and you got the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah, that was also a crazy moment because I wrote that song without the Jonas Brothers also, and it was with my friends Gian and Freddie, and it was the summertime. We're like, let's just make a Christmas song. And then a couple months later, whatever, one thing leads to another, ended up in the hands of the Jonas Brothers. They absolutely loved it. They cut it immediately, and the song was out within the span of a couple weeks. It was such a quick process. And I was on tour. I was in a candle shop in a mall, and I was getting my brother a candle for Christmas. And I remember getting a phone call like, so the Jonas Brothers are cutting the song and it's going to radio. And I was just like, what? Just crazy, crazy stuff.
That's awesome.
There's a lot of cool moments.
How often does it happen where you are writing a song and you know the artist that you're writing it for? Is it a lot, or are you normally just kind of writing a good song and they'll send it to whoever?
It really depends. I'd say most of the time it's like I'm in the room with the writer. We're, chatting. I kind of have some sort of personal relationship with them and I'm helping their story come to life. But then sometimes it is, like those two instances I just mentioned where I'm just writing a song to write a song and then it gets sent around and it happens to really tell somebody's story or really fit with their project in that moment. And it's able to come to life that way as well. But I love writing all types of music, whether it's for me, for other people, just to sit there and write a song and let the creative process happen. Yeah.
Do you think you'll keep writing for others as much now that you're going out and doing your thing too?
My project is definitely my number one priority right now, and there's also just such like There's a really type of like a beautiful type of catharsis in being able to tell my own story and kind of see it come to life and put everything into it, like the creative direction and all the media and the music videos and the photo shoots and the style and the live set and everything that kind of isn't the music that goes along with the music that helps it breathe and kind of presents it to society. Like I absolutely love that too. So all of my energy is pretty much focused in that right now, but there are definitely a few other projects that I still love, and I have some other songs coming out still too with other artists. I think I'll always still write for other people. Yeah, it's just nice too to be able to tell somebody else's story as well. I mean, I love both sides of the coin.
Yeah. I did see that you told somebody else that your next song will be called Love Sucks.
It's true.
So let's pretend like we're, I don't know, however many months in the future. Just because I use these interviews whenever we play new songs. Like I'll use the same interview for pretty much all your songs that'll come out. But so for Love Sucks, how would you describe that one to people? Like, what does it mean to you?
Love Sucks is a heartbreaking story of my last breakup. Yeah, I wrote it like pretty shortly after the breakup, and it's basically just a song about really devastatingly missing somebody and finding kind of any excuse to maybe reach back out. So it's kind of like a love song to that person where you know that maybe it should be over and it is over, but you really don't want it to be over.
It's amazing how many excuses you can come up with to reach out, even though there's just like the one huge excuse of why you absolutely should not.
Yeah, like there's a line in the second verse. It's like, hey, I think the weather on our first date was kind of like this.
Yep.
Like, just thinking of you, I saw a cloud.
I'm driving by your house. I mean, I'm like 13 miles away, but I'm really close to your house.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for chatting, and I'm excited. I think you are awesome.
Thank you so much.
I think your music is awesome. I think you're a great person, and I'm really excited to see you blow up, expand, whatever you want to call it.
It was so nice chatting with you too. It was great to meet you.